Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm joined today with Josee. How are you doing, Josee? Well, you got cut short yesterday, so I thought this was the perfect opportunity to bring you back in, and we can discuss Mandela Effect.
I'm doing great. How are you, Shane?
Oh, wonderful. So the weather's beautiful. Jamie said it was looking wonderful up there today in y'all's neck of the woods, as we say here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's pretty sunny. It was raining yesterday, but it's windy. I was gonna be outside for the stream, and then it was too windy, so I gave up that idea.
Yeah, you got to do like Case from Everyday Masters, who puts a cotton ball on his phone microphone, and it really does help a lot. It doesn't sound so, windy on the mic.
Well, I
Um,
would have brought my laptop outside, like it would have been okay, but
right.
it's
Well,
not.
the main reason I wanted to do this is because people have been putting out so many, myself included, Mandela Effect videos for the last couple of years, and it's so hard to just like look up a good compilation of a bunch of Mandela effects because there's just so many videos. It's like, and we've done it to ourselves because we're like, hey, did you do this? Did you see this? Did you see this? And some people, they'll watch a few videos and none of those affect them, because the thing about the Mandela effect is some things affect some people, some things don't affect those people. So if someone even gives it a shot and they watch 5 different videos, and none of those things are 100% changed items for those people, then they won't see it. It'll be like, forget about it. And that sort of happened to me for a year, because I think the things that finally did affect me were out at that time. I just didn't see them. I just watched a couple of videos, saw a few dozen changes or whatever, and then I didn't. I was like, I don't know, and I went on about my way. But I was having. You're muted if you were. I saw you laughing, but I didn't get to hear it. There it
Yeah,
is.
I was coughing. I
Oh,
must be allergies a little bit.
so let's see. I was having a wonderful little chat with Foxy Socks about the Mandela effect, and yeah, she was just like I was, like, before I realized it was happening. She was saying,
Mhm.
well, what if this? She was giving all these explanations. I'm like, you sound just like I did, in the beginning before I realized it was happening. So I thought, what a great way to have a video where all of us can just chime in with our 100% items that are big for us, and then people that are watching this later on can look at the screen. They can hear us discussing different ones, and instead of us having pictures for everything, if there's one of the changes that we mention and it seems like like I did at the time, because somebody didn't show that Bible verse, I went and looked it up right away, because I was like, I know it was a lion shall lie down with the lamb. There's no doubt in my mind. And I thought the guy got it backwards, but sure enough, it was the wolf shall dwell with the lamb, Isaiah 11:6. So anyone watching this later on, if you hear an effect or see an effect that some of the people in our chat, or even people that leave comments later on below the video, put as things that were changed effects for them, and it was that way for you, you can look it up for yourself and see that the Mandela effect is for sure happening. Because until you see a 100% item that was one way and it appears to have never been that way, you just can't get over that hump. I mean, when you're pragmatic like me and Foxy Socks, then you're going to think, there's no way this is happening. There's got to be an explanation that's, not so impossible sounding. You know what I mean? So,
I know. Yeah, people are have a hard time getting their head around that. Well, it's really like unsettling when you see the changes at first.
yeah. And I remember even in the early days thinking, why are these people freaking out so much about Fruit Loops or fruit? I don't know, and it was like, yeah, it seems like it was the other way, but, but once you realize, then it's like, wow, impossible things are happening.
I know.
So, so yeah, I was there for a year, so I know I'm not, judging anybody. It took me a whole year to finally realize this is really happening.
Yeah, just before we came on, I was looking at a few newer videos because I haven't been watching Mandela Effects too much, and there was one. I don't know if you saw that one. It's I just wrote down the channel too. It's World Church channel. It's a Chase Bank you guys have in the States, right?
Yes, Chase.
And she saw the logo, the letters go from blue to white to black, and she has pictures of all the changes. And she even has one. The letters are like light purple. Like it's
Like she caught it
within
midstream morphing.
yeah, within a couple weeks she saw that. I thought that was so amazing.
Yeah, me too. But just so people know, a lot of the changes, you'll go and look at the picture that you took it when it was one way, and the picture mysteriously changes. Just like the one with the rodent stinker statue. And you got all these people posing next to it and the way it used to be, but the statue no longer looks that way.
I know.
It's amazing she was able to even catch, for the picture not to have changed with everything, because that's just how it is. You know what I mean? It's like one of the famous scenes in Back to the Future when he's going into time, using the time machine in the DeLorean for the first time, and you see J.C. Penney in the background, and
Hmm.
it's like now the extra E is in there, so the movie just mysteriously updated to have the new way. So yeah, so I would say for me, both of us, we had Road and Stinker statue. That was probably,
Yeah, that was my main one.
yeah, because I had one as a kid. Now, when I say 100%, I mean like I would literally bet my life on it. That
Me too.
there's some changes I wouldn't do that with, even ones that I think are real, like uh the real popular one, Luke, I Am Your Father, that it's been played on so much that I can't say for sure
Hmm.
that I'm just not remembering one of the jokes about it rather than the actual thing. But I had made this picture a while back because I started seeing these connections with all of the changes. Like, we got several Tom Hank ones. We had Life is Like a Box of Chocolates changing to Life Was Like a Box of Chocolates. And of course, his mom in Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks' mom in Forrest Gump, is Sally Fields, which is no longer Sally Fields, it's Sally Field. And then uh, Tom Hanks was also in the change that we saw with Houston. We have a problem, changing to we've had a problem, and then back to we have a problem again, that was my first flip flop where I saw one go back to how it originally was. But not only do we have Tom Hanks' mom being Sally Fields, and Sally Field having the one where she said, "You love me right now, you really love me," the right now part added in there. We also had Sally Beauty Supply, which used to be Sally's Beauty Supply. So, when you look at all these connections, you've got, Luke, I Am Your Father. The voice of that was, what's that actor's name? Earl Jones.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but he
I
was in
forget.
Field of Dreams, right? And then you got Field
Yeah.
of Dreams
I
had
see
the,
his face clearly.
right, yeah. Somebody straighten us out in the chat.
Oh
Something
yeah.
Earl Jones. I remember two, but I'm 2 for 3. So, so you got him. He does the voice of Darth Vader, but he's also in Field of Dreams. And in Field of Dreams, if you build it, he will come. Is now if you build it, they will come, or is it the other way around? I'm not
The
even
other way
sure.
around,
Okay, now it's if you
I
build it, he will
think.
come. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's how it was. Because see, that was one of the ones I had a dual memory of. I thought it was if you build it, he will come in the beginning. His dad came, and then later in the movie, if you build it, they will come, and then all the people came. But evidently, it's not that way, or it never was that way for some people. And then I found another interesting connection, Jose. The whole we're going to need a bigger boat,
Yeah.
changing to you're going to need a bigger boat. And that's from the Jaws movie. Well, we were
Johnson.
watching. It's not Earl Grey Jones. James Earl Jones. Yeah,
James Earl Jones. Yeah, I see
James Earl Jones. That was Willie. He's so funny.
that. Good thing we have people in the chat to straighten us up, right?
Yeah, really. So I was just back to what I was saying. We're gonna need a bigger boat. So my kids are watching the movie. What is it where he plays God and Noah and it's not gonna come to my mind. Evan Almighty. I came
Oh
there
yeah, oh
to
yeah, I like that movie.
Evan Almighty. You know how he builds the big ark?
Yep.
And then he's standing there, and all the people in the subdivision are running towards the boat, and he says, "We're going to need a bigger boat." He does. He says it right there,
Yeah,
just playing on the original movie line. That
yeah,
no longer is that way. They do that a lot in movies. You'll find that it had the same director, or the same writer, or a buddy of the
yeah,
writer. Or, there's these like little inside jokes that they do, but now that makes no sense. You're going to need a bigger boat. It should
exactly.
have been, if he was really playing off of that other thing. So yeah, I sent that to Nathan because that kind of tied in with his whole arc thing he's been talking about. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. I was watching something else earlier. Can I cut in?
Sure.
How many people died in the Titanic?
I believe it was 12 or 1500 or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw.
I was watching a video by Scott, and he found some news clipping and stuff, and apparently everybody was safe. Everybody was safe. Nobody drawn. Nobody died, and they even towed the Titanic to New York. In one picture, it didn't sink. It didn't even sink.
Right, yeah, I saw that. That was amazing. Did you see Once Upon a Timeline, the channel? What's her name? Eva. She had left a
Eva,
comment
yeah.
below that of an old news article talking about how early reports were wrong, and they thought people survived, but they hadn't or
Oh,
something. So I
oh,
don't
I
know if it's a
see.
Mandela effect or not, but the one where they were looking like they were towing the Titanic in, that one was awfully like, what the heck? How are they towing it
I
in?
know. Because
But
I saw like two different pictures them towing the Titanic. Where would they get those pictures if it didn't happen, you know?
and did you say it had three chimney or four chimney stacks on it instead of three? I remembered it having three, but some of the
Oh,
pictures had four.
I couldn't tell that, but I thought it was so strange, that they would have pictures of it
Yeah,
being towed if it didn't, anyway. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, that's a strange one. And that sort of gets into the guy that had written that book that sort of predicted it. I can't think of his name now, but 222. My phone just caught my attention. Um, yeah, who was it that Aaron from uh, Affected Collective?
Mhm.
All these names to remember, gosh, on the spot.
I
Aff-
know. There's so many.
she uh she had done something a while back showing some of the predictions and stuff. But so besides the thinker statue, what are some of your other big ones, Jose?
Febreze is one for me. Like Febreze just doesn't make sense anymore, without the other E. And I have a can there and I look at it once in a while to see if it changes back.
Yeah.
Mm. No, it's still Febreze.
Yeah.
And the Mona Lisa, like that was now it's harder to see it because there's so many pictures floating around with that were modified, or you don't know which one was modified
Right.
or which one is, so it's harder. But at first, the Mona Lisa was one too for me.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a slight change, but it's a big enough change that I mean it's definitely a change. I mean, I've got the pictures on the screen right now. This is when I
Mhm.
photoshopped back to how it was originally, or how I remember it, where it was just she was more straight faced, but now she's got more of a smirk. It's like less, what's the word for it? Ambiguous. It's, I mean, it's clearly she's smiling now. Before it was
Yeah.
like, is that a sarcastic look? Is it a smirk? Is it just a straight face with she nervous? You know, it was just
Yeah.
more mystery. And another one, I was talking to Foxy Socks about this one. She remembers, because a lot of these she remembers it being the way it is currently. And I said, don't let that make you not look into the other ones, because hardly any of the effects affect everyone, every single person. Some people remember
Mhm.
the current version as always being that way.
Mhm.
And the Mona Lisa was one. This was one that's called the American Gothic painting. I remember them being like this
Mhm.
Beverly Hillbillies post greeting card from 1963 that was sort of remaking this, where they were both just straight on looking forward. But now we see
Mhm.
the woman's looking. And you know, this was always this was one of the ones I got the message in about the feminine looking towards the masculine.
Mhm.
So
Interesting, yeah. The Ford logo too. Like if I look at the Ford logo, there was no pigtail there.
right, and it appears to have always had that little E looking pigtail on there. That's
Yeah,
strange.
it is. Like it's not manly at all. Like when you think of cars, they don't put swirls unless they want to sell them to women. Like it's just the way it is.
Yep.
And it's just strange. And
Yep. And I
also,
remember I would have been a kid talking about that looking like an E. I would have been like, is that an E? What's you know?
yeah, yeah, it's really strange. And have you ever the Subaru? Have
Yeah,
you
with the
realized
stars.
that it's the Pleiades on
Yeah.
on on their logo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Seven Sisters or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Stars or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot with the cars. Like Camaro was another one. I
Uh-huh.
remember learning how to spell it by thinking you spell it like camera, but put an O in the end. But now it's not spelled that way. It's Camaro, Camaro.
That was
Um,
always Camaro for me. Just the
okay.
way you spelled it. Yeah.
And then here we have the Volkswagen logo. This was a big one for me because I didn't know it was a V and a W because it didn't always have this break in there. But now when you look up the history, it's always had that line in there. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the case. I
Yeah.
mean, I literally remember a few years ago thinking, oh, a V and a W. How did I not notice all this time? You know, and I thought they just changed the logo. And I think it's like that for a lot of people. I think they see it and they
I don't
think it's the
know.
new version. You know, who thinks the impossible happens? I mean, it's not something that,
Well, I'm sure we noticed stuff like that before because I remember seeing changes years ago and oh, they must have just changed their logo or
yeah,
something. But
def-
maybe that's what it was and we just didn't pay attention back then.
yeah.
And now it's coming in so fast, one after the other. It's just like, okay, okay, I see it. Yeah.
Do you remember Cheez-Its having the S on the end?
No, I actually, I don't think I even tried those things, so I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
used to love these things.
Yeah,
Cheez-Its, get your own box. That was the tagline. It wasn't
yeah.
Cheez-It,
I
get
I
your
think
own
we have
box.
them now here,
Yeah,
but we had similars, similar stuff. Ours were like little sticks, cheesy sticks, tiny bites. Or
yeah.
there's the fishies now, same idea.
See, I remember the fishies before the Cheez-Its growing up, the little fish.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, Will. He's talking about the Volvo logo, which I just had on the screen here. It's got this little Mel arrow in there, and Willie's saying he drove one for 12 years and it didn't have that arrow. Now, I remember the diagonal line across the grill, but it didn't have this little Mel arrow on the Volvo part. That's just
Mm.
I remember our neighbor had two of them, and I was like, why would they get two of the same exact car?
Because I like it.
I know they must have, huh? Fruit
Well,
Loops, that was
Volvo
another
is a
huge one.
good car. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember the arrow either. It's weird. We had
and
one sitting in the driveway for a while.
yeah,
But I don't remember.
you think you would
Yeah.
remember that though, you know? Depends. This is one that I try to present to people in the medical field because, you know, a lot of times if someone's in the particular field that the change happened in, like the heart, they might think the heart's always been in the middle of the chest because it's like if you're too close
I
to it,
know.
you know, but depends. It's like that makes it sort of it's a benign change. It's not going to hurt them to notice the S has been taken away from depends. It's now depend. It's never
Mm.
been depends. All the jokes that were made about it. And so that's one I like to share. Looney Tunes was another big one. Now it appears to have always been tunes as in frequencies. Uh, interview with a vampire, interview with a vampire, interview with the vampire. I
To me,
remember
it
it.
was a vampire. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interview with a vampire. But when you say it really fast, it's hard to distinguish the two.
Yeah.
You know, when you just speaking it. Another huge one was, you know, the JFK assassination was that was not one for you though, because you didn't really
Boy,
because you
no, I
weren't from
was too
here really.
little.
Right.
Oh, how about the Pillsbury Doughboy? What color is his scarf?
Yeah, it's no longer blue or something. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, it used to be blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was blue.
Now it's white.
Yeah, that's really strange because he had the hat that was the hat was white with like a little
Yeah.
blue emblem on it, the Pillsbury emblem or something, if I remember right. And then he had the blue scarf, but now it appears he's just all white, right?
Yeah.
And now the JFK assassination, there were six people in the car, two women in the car. That was a huge one for me. Uh, Now this is one of the ones that I don't know, Hershey's and Hershey. Do you
Yeah.
is that an effect for you?
Well, I was talking to people in Europe about that, and I think it was in Europe, and they say it depends like what product, but then I don't know. But to me, it was they both look right. You know, when I look at it, they both look right. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not sure
that's
about that one.
same with me. Sex in the City. I didn't watch the show, but I remember seeing ads in the magazine stands and stuff. They heavily pushed it. Now it appears to be Sex and the City instead of Sex in the City.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one is weird because
it is.
this doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah, and like you know, you'd think like my best friend, he would watch it all the time, and you know, I was just always like, why is he watching that? Because it seemed like a girly show, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would watch it or whatever, but he'd watch it. And uh, it was like when it changed, and I told him about it, and he's like, it's always been Sex in the City. I'm like, what? How could you not? You watched it. How did you not notice? This is one that I mean, people swear up and down. Black Crowes always had this E in it, but every time I see it, it looks like crowns. It doesn't. It catches my eye. And I bought like at least two or three of their tapes back. Tapes. I'm dating myself.
And
they,
you're
they
old.
were tapes. Okay? She talks to angels, and you know, shake your moneymaker, and there was a few of them back in the day that I loved the Black Crow because he was real soulful and stuff. But I like the
Hmm.
rock sound, the soulful sound, and you know, and then the Counting Crows came out after that, and they didn't have, you know, it was like what's with all the Crows bands, but now it appears they've always had this E in their name. And I actually photoshopped this. So any of these that you see and you're like, you know, well, there it is the other way. These were photoshopped back to how they were. You can't find these anymore, you know?
Hmm. There's
Uh,
another one I saw today, The Wall, Pink Floyd.
yeah,
Now apparently
the
the
rain.
envelope for the vinyl
Mm-hmm.
is just a wall, a white wall. You know how it used to be Pink Floyd and there was red on it.
Right, like a brick wall.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah.
just a brick wall, nothing on it.
Oh, that's weird.
I'm not sure. Like I didn't look into it. I just saw that,
Yeah, Willie's saying that the Statue of Liberty moving from Ellis Island to Liberty Island was a biggie for this Belgian dude here. Now, that was a biggie for me too, because I never even heard of Liberty Island until
I
recently. I'm like,
know.
Liberty Island? It was like there was Staten Island and then there was Ellis Island, and I think you took a ferry from one to the other or something like that, but there was no Liberty Island. You
Yeah,
know, that's
Dan
just,
Dan has the same reaction you do. What's that Liberty Island? Like
how would you
it's
not remember that? You know, and even like I remember watching Fringe and them talking, they never said they're going to Liberty Island. Now, I didn't go back and watch any of those episodes to see if
Mhm.
they've changed to say they're going to Liberty Island now, but you know, there's just so many changes, and it goes from these impossible monuments moving from one island to a new island that never existed, to your heart being moved to the center of your chest instead of on the left. I mean, we were taught in school, you salute the flag or you say the Pledge of Allegiance by putting your right hand over your left chest, over your heart. And I remember having heart problems. I know my heart was on the left side. They would say 3 fingers beneath your left nipple is where the heart is. And, but now apparently it's just in the middle of your chest.
There you go.
What did you do?
Nothing.
I didn't mean to embarrass you talking about nipples and stuff.
Oh, we talk about nipples on my show too.
And let me segue into the fact that Josee's link is in the description below. So if you would like to join some of the Lightworker Live hangouts with Josee, please do click that link and subscribe so you can join in with the nipple conversations. You don't want to miss them. You know,
Oh,
they
it's
come in
mostly
pairs.
just,
So
yeah. We just talk about whatever comes up, but we laugh a lot. I do anyway. And
yeah,
if
the
you
heart's in the
watch
middle
this,
of your chest now. Sorry, somebody just said what?
what? Yeah. Hey,
Sparkly.
should we? I have the chat up here. Can I say hi to a few people?
Please do.
Oh, I saw that there's a lot of people in here.
Yeah, all
Hi,
99 of them. Don't
Willie.
miss anybody now.
Oh my goodness. Hi, everyone in the chat. Well, I saw Hack Micron earlier. Hi. And Meadow Rabbit is here, and Willie, and
Iwa,
Andrea, and
Jenny
what?
Indigo, Iwa.
Jenny, yeah, Big Bird, Jessica.
Did
I
Iwa's
think
last name
Hyman.
change?
Pardon me?
Pihl? It wasn't that before, was it? Did you change it? Iwa?
Ewa.
Yeah. EWA?
Pihl. No, that's how it was.
Uh,
Well, I can't go through the whole chat, but hi everyone. I love
I was
you.
going to
I
see if
love
you're
you
going to really
guys
try.
all.
I'm like, I'm going to go have a cigarette break. I'll be back in a little bit because it's going to take a while. Yeah. Even if you, you know, and I was like, you might want to just stick with the, you might want to just stick with the moderators because, you know, not on your channel, of course, because everybody's mods over there.
Yeah, and I say hi to everyone. But I only
See,
get a few people, so that's easy.
we're steady at 99 and holding, and I think it's cool because I can say shout out to Michelle and Debbie, and I've just covered like 12 people, you know, because there's a lot of Michelles and Debbies. So
Sweet.
just leave
That's
off the
sweet,
last name,
yeah.
and we're good. Also, Diane, shout out, that covers
Yeah.
several people. Allison covers several people.
Oh, true. You're smart.
Charles, that covers a few. And I'll throw in Bill, John, Jessica,
Bob,
Jane, Bob, yes, Bob,
Aaron,
Walter, Aaron.
Walter.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we love all of you guys.
And then there's all the other ones we don't know their name, like
Yeah, Sharon, Sherry, Shannon. I just covered another couple of dozen. And of course,
oh,
Biker Babe. She gets a shout out with both of her aliases. And Walter, of course. So yeah, so is anybody even shouting out their Mandela effects? This isn't working out how I imagined it.
Oh, sorry.
Nothing
Yeah,
to worry
well,
about. So.
because we were not looking at the chat, either of us. They were sending. It's hard to keep track of everything, isn't it?
It is.
I'll try to find you a couple.
I forgot what chat it was. It was. I think it was. I think it was the one with Candace Carl Goldman. I did add those links. So if you guys want to join in with the group meditation, if you go watch that video, I added some links beneath so you can join in with the group one. And this Sunday, which we're doing a sound check tonight, as a matter of fact, but Twin Flame Divine Fire. I'm going to be on the Truth Frequency Radio with Alan and Sandra from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific time, or 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern time. And oh my goodness, I thought I changed the call-in number. I will update this call-in number because it just changed. So you can come back to this video if you want to call in, or I'm sure they'll give the numbers. The links are below, so if you want to join in, that's this coming Sunday live, and you can actually call into the show if you like. Should be
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, Philly Pam said the date on the, I don't know if it's a he or she, on her birth certificate change, and Jemima said something about her birth certificate changing as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah, I've heard
And
people's parents' birth certificate and death certificate and names on those documents have changed. Different, all sorts of different changes.
yeah, oh, and Stephen said the pictures of the Titanic could be pictures of the Olympic, the sisters, the Titanic sister ship.
Ah, it must have had 4 stacks instead of 3, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell what's a Mandela effect and what isn't because, I mean, I know it's happening. There's enough that I know that it's just not,
Well,
false
something's
memory.
going on for sure
Yeah,
because
something's for
I
sure
mean,
going on, but some things don't affect them, like the traffic lights. Some people remember, yeah, funny yuns. That's a huge one for me. Funny yuns, funyuns. They used to just be spelled like fun onions, funyuns,
yeah.
but now it looks like funny yuns. Even now, Kate just put that in there, and it's like it looks so funny. But I would only eat them on road trips. So, and I didn't really like onions, but I loved funyuns. So it was like I don't know. I don't know.
Someone talking about the Lindbergher baby?
Yeah. That now it was missing. Like they never found it, but in this current reality, they did end up finding it
Yeah.
or something like that.
So someone, for them it was a big one. Yeah, the Funyuns too.
Yeah, and
And
somebody was talking about my logo change, and this is weird because they sent me this email. Right, I've got the logo on the screen. You can see it right here, and right in between unbiased on the fence, there's that line right there. They remember in the middle a yellow and sign, and ampersand, an and sign right in the
oh
middle,
really?
a yellow or goldish colored and sign in the middle. Now, here's the weird thing about it. I never had it in there, but when I was creating the logo, that's exactly how I was thinking of putting one in there.
Oh.
Is that not weird or what? It's so freaking weird when they're like, I remember it like that. I'm like, I thought about doing it like that, but I didn't. How did you just see
Oh,
it like
so the
that?
idea is out there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what, like all those ideas we get. Maybe people pick up on those.
What the heck? You know what I mean?
I know.
It's when they sent me because they actually took my logo and they said they recreated how they remembered it, quickly with the little and sign, and they sent it to me and they're like, I remember it looking like this, and I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, I thought about doing it like that and thought it looked too crowded and bulky, with covering up the
Yeah.
letters. So I was like, oh man, Willie said he saw that. That's trippy. He saw that with the. How did you guys see that? I never created it. I mean, I might have even created it in Photoshop and was like, and turn the layer back off. But I know I never published it that way for sure. Oh my
What a
gosh. Pat on the
variety.
back remembers it that way too. That's trippy, you guys, because I never published it that way. Yeah, I mean, the title's
Or
always
did
been.
you?
I know I didn't in this reality. In my reality, I never did. I always had the text as with the and sign in there, like you see when I chat here. You can see the and sign, unbiased and on the fence. And I've always said and, but the and sign causes problems, and whenever you're dealing with like anything that like titles and things like that, the and sign, if you have like a link with an and sign, it just causes problems. So I typically leave it out of everything other than the title. But that's just so weird.
It is.
Yeah, Sherry D, uh, pat on the back, Willie, all remember it having that. That's so trippy. That's trippy. Allie remembers it. That's wild. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
It's like I left my timeline and jumped into y'all's. Y'all.
Or we all jumped into yours.
Yeah, I love it. We're like this. Yeah, 111 viewers. I noticed that too. It just jumped to 113 for me. Gotta love all the synchronicities. And then just then I looked up, it was 3611 for our runtime. Interesting times we live in, and the synchronicities have been off the chain. How about for you, Jose?
Oh yeah. Like it's been the last few days. Like now it's 3:45, 3:45. Um, but like I've seen so many synchronicities like the last few days. And I've been seeing even Christmas trees, like it's
We got to tell that story, but before I forget about it, because I've been meaning to say this, Kev Barker just hopped in here. Kev, have I accidentally
Kevin.
ever called you Kev Baker? Because just for like the last 3 streams, I've looked at your name and I thought it was Kev Baker, and then I thought I must have just not remembered it right. And then the next time I see it, I'm like, it keeps standing out as Barker, and I was like, and I think I would have made the connection with like Bob Barker. I don't know. To me, it was Baker like 4 shows ago and before. Do you always remember Barker for Kev?
Kev
Kev Barker or Kev Baker? Does anybody else
Barker.
remember Kev being Kev Baker? Or Kev, did you change it, man?
Yeah.
It's trippy. It's trippy because it's caught my eye 3 times now with the where, I don't know. I don't know. That's trippy. Everyone's name's changing.
So
Like
many things are
Joel
trippy.
Osteen,
Osteen?
now he's Osteen. Does anybody remember Joel Osteen that's watching this? He's no longer Joel Osteen. He's Joel Osteen. And
Oh.
it's just trippy.
Well, my name didn't change.
It did for Dan. Remember, he called you Jose, which actually it would be Jose. If it was pronounced with Spanish, it would actually be Jose. Their Magic Sister remembers Baker. All right. See, I remember Baker, but I don't know. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but
No, just on the
yeah, somebody said I called him Baker, so I must have misread it back then, or maybe
it's
it did say Baker
possible,
for me.
yeah.
Yeah, there's somebody who remembers Joel Olstein. Yeah, he's no longer Olstein, guys. He's Osteen.
Well, it's a long chat.
I'm laughing a pat on the back. Are you too? Pikachu's tail. Now it's got brown on it. Looks like he needs a bath. That's probably he saw the black was gone and he never mind. It scared the never mind.
Oh,
Fun times.
yes.
But So yeah, someone was saying that I don't want to share the name because I don't know if they're cool with it or whatever. But someone was really upset when they noticed their hands had changed. Their fingers were longer, the webbing was different, and the thumb, or actually it was the thumb was different. They were kind of freaking out about it, and she got
Yeah.
her on tape, video, crying about her fingers changing and feeling like she's, losing her mind because when you look at your hands and they don't look like your own hands, that's pretty freaky. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't blame her whatsoever. I mean,
Yeah.
and I look at my hands, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like
Yeah.
this is me anyway. This is like my spacesuit.
Yeah. Me too.
Neo Glimmer, what is up, man?
Hi, Neo.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage, that was a big change. I was like, what? Brown on the tail and not on the right end. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone posting a video on the hands changing too.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
Once Upon a Timeline.
yes,
Eva.
yes. I didn't watch it, but I saw she was like all four fingers the same length.
Yeah.
Did you see that? It's like,
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think that was just a Photoshop thumbnail.
I know.
It was weird
I
looking though.
know.
But that's one of the reasons why I try to, because like I originally, everybody initially kind of freaks out when you see things changing in an impossible way. And you think, CERN or the D wave or some scientists toying with reality or time travelers. I mean, we've all had all these different ideas going through our mind, or, you know, some of the really religious people think, Satan's doing it, or, demons or whatever. But people always seem to go to the negative, and I went to the negative first, or at least neutral. I thought, maybe it was just,
Hmm.
scientists doing it. But once you realize that it could be a benevolent force or a good force doing it, um, it really changes your perspective to realize that if there's a benevolent force that can change reality right before your very eyes, then no matter what, they can change it to suit your needs. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
Neo says, what about entire building changing colors overnight?
yeah,
That's like the Chase logos changing color over and over again too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there
know,
was
but
one
I
that was
the
the
more
Goodwill with the black background. That was real weird. I'm like,
I
Goodwill with the
know.
black back. It was always blue and
Yeah.
white for Goodwill. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of shopping at Goodwill, you guys. I ain't gonna lie, and it was never
No.
black and white. It was always blue and white. And sometimes it flip flop. They'd have white on blue or blue on white, but it was never black
Mm-hmm.
like that. That's just strange. So yeah, I saw on World Church channel, I believe it is. She was
Yeah.
showing a lot of these signs are turning black, and
I
like that's so
know.
weird.
I know. It's just everything is changing. The more I think about it though, the more I think we have something to do with it.
Hmm.
I think we are changing some of that stuff.
Yeah. Hey, is Moneybags still in here?
He
Oh yeah,
was.
Folger's changing. Yeah, that was your first one, Jamie. Uh, if Moneybags is still in here, you know what? I was
Yes.
listening. I was rolling down the road the other day. You know how like I realized I hadn't heard the song in like decades, but I think about it a lot. It plays in my head a lot, and it's "We Won't Get Fooled Again" by The Who, and that's sort of the song that pops into my head about being unbiased and on the fence all the time. It's like, dude, I'm not
Hmm.
going to get sucked into anything. I won't be fooled again, right? Well, that song came on. I was like, wow, I hadn't heard this in a while. I didn't realize it had been so long or whatever. But he never says, although the title is still "Won't Be Fooled Again." He never says "Won't Be Fooled Again." He always says "Don't Be Fooled Again."
Oh, really?
Yeah, he never says "Won't be
What?
fooled again" in the song anymore. And I don't know if people can still hear it the other way, like the whole Laurel and Yanny thing or something, but you can clearly hear the D, "Don't Get Fooled Again." So that was one I was suggesting. I didn't know if you saw my comment, Moneybags, but I thought that would be a good one to get you know, to vote in on, thumb up or thumb down that one, because Dude, it was always Won't Be Fooled Again. And it's like I've been playing it in my head for decades as Won't Be Fooled Again. But when I saw the title was that, I'm like, am I just tripping because the title is that? You know, do you know that song, Jose?
Yeah, I do, yeah. But see, for me, like, it's funny because when I was younger, I would listen to English music too, like music in English. But I didn't always hear the right words because I wasn't fluent in English then. So you
Right,
make up your own words to sing along.
right.
And the older I got, the more I figured out the words. But when you're a teenager, I think even kids nowadays, like they think they hear something, they sing it that way. But what you have to look at the lyrics to figure out
Yeah.
what
I think
a
it's
lot of
strange.
times what they're all about,
It's
what
just
they're
got that
saying.
it's got that strangeness about it that the title is the way I remember it
I
being, but the
know.
words don't have that anymore. So it's like, and I emailed Sherry about it, overprotected. I was like, dude, wasn't this song? Because I know she's from that era. She likes rock, and I knew she would know. You know what I mean? So she goes,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, no, it was definitely Won't." You know, and I was like, "All right," because I
Uh-huh.
can't say I wouldn't bet my life on it, but it's like a 99% one for me. But I could have been singing in
Hmm.
my head for all these years the wrong way. Who knows? I don't trust my memory. So, but that's why I wanted to get everybody else's feedback on it because that's a really old song.
It is. And I remember Won't Be Fool Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, won't get fooled again. That was another part of it I thought might have changed was the won't be fooled again, but won't get fooled again. Yeah. But now it's apparently don't get fooled again.
Really?
Yeah, don't get fooled again. We don't get fooled again. And it's always been that, apparently.
Hmm. That is
So
strange.
that's what made me question it because I thought it was B as well, but won't be fooled again. But yeah, it won't get fooled again. So sorry, yeah, and I'd had that part screwed up. So when I saw the title, I was like, maybe I'm just screwing up. I did screw up the get and the B part. So, or did I? You know what I mean?
Oh. Well, it's hard to know, like it's some of the Mandela effect, like it's just like, yeah, I'm not sure, like and some I just don't see, but the one like changing colors, when you see overnight the color changing, that is, and that's something I'll notice more.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Hmm.
why I think it was World Church was showing a lot of different signs, even locally. She's the one in L.A., right? I think she was the one in L.A. So she was showing like pawn shops and uh, just smaller businesses that they changed colors, but it wasn't like a fresh paint job. It looked like it always been that way. So it ain't like they just had it painted overnight, you know what I mean? Because you would think, maybe they just
Yeah,
painted it. What are you freaking out about? Like, no, dude, it had chips on it, like it had been there a while. you know?
yeah. And also she said she was saying that the bank near her, the address used to be 6410, and now it's 6400. The address changed as well as the color of the logo. That's won't be fooled again. Candy Apple said, won't be fooled again.
So she remembers the B too. Won't be
Uh-huh.
fooled again. That's how I thought it was. That's how I was singing in my head, but won't get fooled again. But don't get fooled again was like way different. I was like, don't get fooled again. We don't get fooled again. It's just trippy. I just know it wasn't that way. I don't. I'm
Mm-hmm.
more certain about the won't and the don't part than I am about the be and the get part. But still, it was, if I messed up part of it, maybe I messed up the other part. So that's why I wanted to get everybody else's feedback on it. And we'll let Moneybags see what he can come up with because that's definitely, he's good at that. That's why I kind of went away from doing that. I was like, Moneybags got this locked down on this, you know, coming up with the research and And I've studied
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
his work because he can come up with residue really well, finding people who sang it the way everybody remembers it and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So,
He's doing a real good job on his like researches everything. He's really That's why I try not to, I tell people I'm not sure. You have
yeah.
to go to the specialist, and Moneybag is a good specialist.
Yeah, so anybody watching this later on, Moneybags 73, he's actually in the chat. You can click on his name and go to his channel. And I
Yeah.
think that's an excellent place to start. If you're not really sure it's happening, just look down his playlist at some of the things he's covered in the past. There's like probably a couple hundred of them now, right? I think he's on voting video 200 and something. So yeah, just look down through the list and find something that you know exactly how it was before and watch the video and see if it matches up with how you remember reality. Because until you find that thing you're 100% sure of, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think it was that way, but it's not enough to get you over that hump of disbelief. Like
Yeah.
Fruit Loops wasn't enough, even though I'm
No.
sure it was the other way now.
Yeah, me
It wasn't
too.
enough to get me over the hump
Yeah.
initially. Same way with Looney Tunes. It's like, I don't know, to say something
No,
impossible happened.
but you only need to see one really
Once you see it's
to
really
realize that
happening,
things
yeah,
are changing.
definitely. Totally agree with that. It was like the thinker got me over the hump of disbelief. I'm like, if it happened
Yeah.
with the thinker, then now I know I'm not tripping about Fruit Loops and Looney Tunes. You know what I mean? And Dolly and her braces. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
The
that one too. That one I'm sure she had braces.
I remember the cable channel having, that was like a clip they would show for their cable channel, get Continental Cable is what it was at the time. And so yeah, it's like now you see her grin and there was even a commercial. Did you see the commercial?
With the
I believe
sparkle. Do
where
you
the
remember?
actor, yeah, the sparkle that was on the braces or whatever. But
Yeah.
there was a commercial where the guy who played Jaws in the movie was going through the checkout, and the cashier, young girl with her braces on, smiled at him, and he like looked at her and smiled, like it was a play off of the movie with the girl with the. So
Yeah,
it's like now that commercial makes no sense. Now that the movie, the girl never had the braces.
I know. But I remember when she opened her mouth, like you see the sun shining on the braces,
Yeah, they
and
had
that
that.
made the movie, like that made the
That
scene.
was the whole scene. It was he
I
got held up
know.
by the pretty girl with the glistening braces shining that was like his metal teeth, and it's like I don't know. It's just
Love at first sight.
yeah, the metal teeth connection would never happen. Yeah, exactly, Stephen. That was the whole joke. It was like, and in school, someone else had said that, if because I was saying the whole timeline thing doesn't make sense. It's like, well, what if on a timeline she'd forgot to bring her braces that day, and somebody's like, well, the show must go on. They would have just filmed it. I'm like, dude, that would have been in the director's cut where they took it out because the scene makes no sense without metal on her teeth. That was the
Yeah,
whole
that's right.
joke. It's
I
like a
know.
joke without the punchline, man. You know, like knock knock, end of scene. That's how stuff ends up in the director's cut. It doesn't, somebody forgot their braces that day. But yeah, that's 100%
Oh
sure.
well.
111 people, loving
Yeah.
souls. All right, great. Maureen Moreau says won't for me. I'm so glad because it was where, and then I'm like asking my wife. She goes, "I don't think I've ever heard this song." I'm like, "What? How do you not know this song?" And I started thinking,
Really?
"Oh." I'm like, "Do you know that song? Who are you? Who?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "They usually play that one more if they're gonna play the Who, you know." And then I saw the
Yeah.
movie. The song was like 8 minutes long. I'm like, "That's why I don't play it." That's when the DJ's got to take a long bathroom break. He'll either put on that long Meatloaf song or this one, and because things weren't automated in the old days. They actually had to
No, they
put the
were
record
not.
on. I gotta go to the bathroom. Put on that Who song.
Oh yeah, Stephen was talking about that. He worked in radio and how it's so different now.
Yeah,
Like you used to plan. how long is this song and how long is this song, and he used to plan. And now with there's so much more commercial to be added, and now it's just you can just play little short songs because the big ones don't fit anymore. It's or something like that. It's yeah.
Yeah, my son drew the Pikachu with the black on the tail. That's like his 100% thing because
Yeah, I remember
the black on the
the
tail. It
black on the tail.
looks weird
Yeah.
without the black on the tail. But yeah, back to your thing you were talking about the DJ. Even back in, I guess it was like at the turn of the millennium, uh, I was going in for a radio interview
Mhm.
for my music or whatever, and I'm like, it was an overnight show. So I'm like standing at the radio station door waiting on the guy to come down. I'm like listening to the radio to see when he's going to start a song and come and let me in. And he shows up and like he's talking on the radio, but he's letting me in the door. And I'm like, what's going on? And then once he let me in the door, I hear him. They have like the radio station playing throughout the building or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I thought you were on the air. And he goes, oh, most of the commercials and everything are pre-recorded and stuff. And then we get up there and we're like busy talking, and that thing is like completely automated. It had the commercials playing automatically, the songs were playing automatically. He barely had to do anything. He just had to make sure that, you know, the computer didn't freeze up, I guess. But we were able to leave that, and he had to kind of keep an eye on it. But it's pretty much automated these days. He wasn't picking the songs. Now, if something goes
Mhm.
wrong, sometimes they would lose their link up to whatever it was that was playing the music. And
Mhm.
he would have to actually pull the CDs out of the shelf. They didn't have a lot. They just had enough until they get the thing up and running again. And then, so he'd have to do it by hand, and he was capable of doing it by hand. But so, yeah, everything's automated these days. It's crazy. You could see the little
Everything.
square of what's coming next and how long it is and everything. Rob the
Yeah.
songwriter. Love that
Mhm.
song you
Mhm.
did, man, with the codes. Did you hear that one?
Yes, I
With
did.
Neo Glimmers. Yeah, that was nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I heard the codes and I heard he put it to music, I was like, oh man, I don't, because I'm a songwriter and I was like, that would be really difficult, but he did an excellent job. Couldn't have done it better myself.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Did you write those codes?
No, I didn't like handwrite them out. I read them several times and jammed out to the music several times.
Yeah, I wrote them down, and when Dan saw that, what is that? Don't worry about it. It's nothing.
No, I did read it and I took it in and I got it, but I didn't actually publish it or anything. But I did promote the video, so
Mhm.
let me see here.
Yes,
Did he ever have brown on the towel? You know,
I
just going
remember
off of
him.
memory, I thought it had like a little brown with like a little zigzaggy line on it or something. I'm just kind of going off of memory,
Mhm.
but and it seemed like that same color was on his ears a little bit or something.
Yeah,
Was that a
I
little
thought
puppy nose that popped in front of the
it.
camera?
It's funny. I drew it like a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
For my grandson, I drew the Pikachu, and it was on my daughter's fridge, and I looked at it, and there was no black on the tail, and I couldn't remember if I did put black on the tail or not.
Yeah.
It was so strange, but there was no black on the tail, so I don't know.
And that's when,
But I
if my son hadn't have been rushed to do that part, that's just how anchor memories are. He probably wouldn't even remember it if it did or not, if he wasn't rushed.
Mhm.
I have a lot of things like that, like the whole Flintstones, not having the tea and then having the tea. And, I remembered having the tea as a kid because I remember reading through the Bible and hearing they were circumcised with flint knives. And I remember thinking, oh, that's why they call them the Flintstones because it's, you know what I mean? Because I always wonder
Yeah,
where knives come from and stuff, in the
yeah.
old days. But yeah, trust me, when you're thinking about circumcision as a child and you read about that in the Bible
When you're a
happening, and
boy, yeah.
yeah, and you just I don't know. You
I
think
never
about
thought
something.
about circumcision as a
It sticks in your
child.
head. You know, I remember making that connection. So there's no doubt in my mind it had the T on there, flint stones, because I remember thinking
Hmm.
flint knives.
Ouch.
Yeah, you know, that's
Yeah,
a horrific thought to go to through your head.
sure is.
So you remember the name of the enemy, you know. You think, oh, I'm so glad they got scalpels now.
Yeah, that's less barbaric, or is it?
I don't know. You know, and you
Yeah.
know, it's hard to tell. It's
You
hard to
you
know.
talk you talk about me talking about the big O. That's
That's a,
like that's
and you know, aren't women circumcised too? Some of them.
no, they
There is some kind of woman
excision
circumcision thing that they do.
excisions in third world countries. Some places they just take the whole clitoris off.
What? Oh man,
Oh
sorry, ladies.
yeah.
We shouldn't have brought that up, huh? Let's just talk about the big
You
O.
started.
uh, our society is just, I don't know.
You never heard about that?
I've heard there was some type of, you know, female equivalent to
Yeah.
circumcision, but I never got
Yeah.
into the details of it.
Yeah, well, they take the
That's
whole
it, huh?
thing off.
Uh,
Yeah. So there you go. Now you know.
yeah, that's sad.
Hey, do you want to hear about my vision?
Yeah, let's get back to the Christmas trees. What's going on with that now? Yeah, we got to share this, you guys. It's not really Mandela Effect related, but it's definitely entertaining. So
Oh yeah, it's
share your
weird.
story, Jose.
Yeah, I keep asking for a sign. You guys show me something, like uh where did you go? Oh, okay. I know what you're doing. So, I keep asking, guys, give me a sign, something. I want to know what's going on, because a lot of people have visions and stuff. So I went back to bed this morning for a little while. I got up too early. And when I was just waking up, I see that big spider coming down from the ceiling, just like above my face. I've seen them before, no big deal. I shut my eyes again, open my eyes back up, and I see that, like, about this big, a Christmas tree with the decorations on it and everything, and it had wings and it was just flying around. Like, what? What are you guys trying to tell me? Why Christmas tree? I hate Christmas.
That's some good weed. I'm just playing. You've been smoking some really good Christmas trees to see Christmas trees with wings flying around.
No, that was without without the weed.
That was sober, huh? So what do you?
Yeah,
Okay, was it lit up? Were the
yeah, there
decorations?
was decorations on it. It was not 3D. It was 2D. But like I just thought it was so weird. Never saw that before. Anyway, it was bizarre. So I don't know.
I would like to get people to chime in on because okay, so I told you guys a while back that sometimes when I'm sleeping, I'll get like these just random images in my brain, like storefronts and signs, and it's usually not a complete picture of anything. It's just random images or whatever. But that had like evolved into me seeing scenes that were more complete, that
Mhm.
uh, were more decipherable, I should say, because it used to be like you would see different things and, they didn't really add up to anything specific. Even signs, you'd see a piece of a sign, a few letters. But lately, I've been getting actual signs where it's like, or sorry, like scenes where it's like last night when I was falling asleep. It was before, it's not really dream time. It's before you even get to that point. You just got your eyes closed and you start getting these real vivid, clear images. And one of them was like, it seemed like it was like what do like when you're in school and they have like fair day and like everyone's just outside and they do like the where you put on those bean bags and you try to like run. They just like field day or whatever they call it at school. It was like that, but it wasn't for kids at school. It was like for police officers and firemen. And it was sort of like a just like an outdoor day, and I got very clear images. I wasn't participating in it. I was just totally getting visions, or it was just a scene that, and it was totally not something I would even have thought of. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm a fireman or a policeman or that I've been to any event like that, but it was clear that there was some kind of just like laid back event going on, and I was seeing these clear images of just people interacting on some kind of pretty day out, and looked like a large parking lot, and I could tell it was firemen and policemen like off duty though. And so yeah, that's just totally weird, you know what I mean? But I've been getting scenes like that. That's just my most recent one last night, and I started thinking, man, I need to just start like talking when it's happening, when I'm seeing this, and see if it's, because most of the time I'll just fall asleep and forget about it. But it
Uh-huh.
just seemed like it could be something, and I was wondering if anybody else gets that kind of stuff going. Let's see. I already got a few people chime in. Theta state is what Willie says.
Mhm.
Like maybe you're picking up. It seems like I'm picking up on like a TV signal or something. You know what I mean? It's just like images that I know I'm not coming up with. They aren't anything from any part of my day. Lisa says those are downloads. You should write them down to keep track of them.
Well, I get them then too, because I get those images before, but it's often like it's weird. It's like I get an image of a place I've been to years and years ago, and it just pops in my mind that one frame
Hmm.
of that time,
Is it
and
like
I'll wait.
moving or a picture,
It's
or sometimes both?
I can see myself in that moment looking out, and I think to myself, why why this moment, why this frame, and
Yeah.
I just don't get it. It's
Because it
it,
seems like there's no meaning in it or anything. It's like,
I
why am I
know
seeing
it's
this? Like
really
I didn't get
strange.
any details whatsoever other than what I saw these people. I wasn't focused. I was sort of seeing the whole picture, not anything specific or overhearing anything. It was just, and
Mhm.
the one before that was, it was like I was in New York City or a big city where they had like a public ice skating rink where
Mhm.
people would
Yeah.
come, and it's like outdoors, and it's like in a park, and it's like people were just skating. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
was like there was nothing happening. It was really mundane. You know what I mean? And all of these, it's just sort of nothingness. I don't know that I would have anything to write down other than the scene itself. It was
Mhm.
just something you'd see in the background of a movie, like maybe a couple talking, and you see it in the background, or you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
no, void of any
Really
meaning.
bizarre.
Yeah. But it is like what I'm tapping into a signal that didn't originate with me. That's all I can say about it, really.
Yeah, I did see waking up once. It looked like a TV screen on my bedroom wall
Hmm.
with those like really colorful picture. It was a really colorful picture. It was really strange. And that one time when Dan, oh, do you remember that? I told you about that, I think. Oh no, that was on my chat. Um, we were laying down in the afternoon and just dozing off, and Dan suddenly sits up and says, "Wow, how did you do that? That's magic." I said, "What did I do now?" Like, and he says, "You just pulled me out of the wall. There was like a hole in the wall, and I was kind of he was trapped in the wall, and I pulled him out of the wall."
Like in a dream he was having?
Yeah, kind of in a dream.
That's wild.
I
No, I
know,
don't think you
right?
told me about that.
No, I told it in the chat. Well, Dan told it in the chat and on my live stream. So I thought that was weird, like about at the same place where I saw the TV screen. That's where he said, like, you just got me out of there.
Yeah, that's wild.
I know.
Is that where the Christmas tree came from too?
Around the same place. What? There must be a vortex in my bedroom or something.
Oh,
Uh,
wild time.
I know.
Let me go to the chat. And am I missing anything? Are you following along?
I am trying. Uh, see,
Yeah, Rob
Gregory is
Designer.
not hearing you.
What isn't
See,
hearing you?
See, Gregory is trying to talk to you, but you're not hearing him. Let's see. 30. Um, 30 qubits by 30 qubits by 30 qubits. 300 qubits is a quantum signature for geniuses. Are you saying Shane is a genius?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just 1995, the quantum stream returned when Mandela became president of Africa. Um, you guys, when you send a message to Shane, just put at unbiased and non-defense so it can pop up for him. Like he'll see it better because it's so hard when there's a lot of people and he's not used to following the chat. When I'm in the chat, I can follow pretty good, but it's hard to follow the chat when there's a lot of people.
Quantum
So,
signature from Genesis. I think you might have been saying.
uh, Irma says there are portals in her bedroom.
Yeah, I think Dan banged you through one of them once, didn't
Yeah, he baked a lot.
he?
Uh, you like to make fun of me, don't you? That's all right.
I like to make you laugh. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're not alone. Like people come. That's why we talk nipples on my live stream.
What was it you
People
talk?
will
The
say
big O,
whatever.
nipples, and tiny little Bibles all in one, rounded up in one little session.
Oh,
That's
you
awesome.
forgot orgasms. You forgot orgasms?
That's what the big O is.
Oh, I didn't hear you say the big O. Sorry.
You just wanted
Maybe
to
I
say
should.
that word.
Yes,
Organic. I'm just
organic.
or orgasmic.
Oregano. Oregano.
Willie said first strike. Okay, I'll be good. Don't kick me out of here, Willie.
Ah,
Like
yeah,
white woman, I'm
it's
sorry.
actually Kevin started the nipple thing in my stream. Kev Barker. Yeah, it was so funny.
Do you remember doing that,
It's
Kev? Because if it wasn't you, it could have been Kev Baker. I'm just playing.
I'm sure.
Nip to nip. Never mind. I won't read that one. You guys can read it yourself. 2222. I got
Yes,
322. What is that? That's
422 here.
12, 13, 14, 15, 22 for me. I guess.
1622 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many synchronicities. And when Michelle talked about you guys talked about this little light of mine, the song.
Yeah. Do you know that one?
I get that. I was getting that last like 3, 4 days in my head, popping in my head. And then Michelle said that, and then a bunch of people in the chat, and I went live last night, and a lot of people were hearing the same song.
Isn't that amazing?
It's crazy.
That's
Okay,
wild. So did you
share.
know that did you know that song as a kid in school or in Sunday school?
No, I never went to Sunday school. There was no such thing as Sunday school. Not well, I was like raised Catholic. We went to church on Sunday sometimes, but
You had to go in with the boring adults and stuff.
oh yeah,
Oh my
everybody understand real.
gosh. We
But
got to
it was
go and sing This Little Light of Mine with other kids and stuff. It was pretty fun.
yeah, but my church was in French.
Oh, see, I wouldn't even understood it.
Nah.
I would have been learning This Little Light of Mine in print.
I wouldn't have understood that song back then probably either, like
But
they
that's so wild that it's like, something from, and then this happens several, it happens a lot, that it's sort of the things I learned as a really young kid in Christianity still apply greatly, like that. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And um, uh, what's, the whole Jesus loves the little children of the world, and including all the races, and just like all these things that you learn that, until you
mm,
get in there with the adults and they start, adding all this doctrine in there and messing things up. When they keep it simple for the children, it's like that stuff's all good. You know what I mean? There's really no problem until you get a little older and they start telling you, now you're going to burn in hell. I just want you to know the good news about what we're selling here is you're going to burn, but the good news is you got a way out. It's the only way. You got one choice, an ultimatum. No, but I mean, once you see it's for what it is, you start realizing you're like, that's
I
not really
know,
good
it's
news.
just
You know?
no. It was scary. Imagine, poor kids. It was scary.
Oh my gosh.
Like I heard so many stories, people like young kids freaking out because like one, Eileen, when she was saying, like when she learned her parents were gonna die. Was it her?
Eileen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was talking about I think that was on her video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you're as a kid, you learn your parents are gonna die,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah,
like,
she went to Catholic school and it was like she came home all traumatized because she
yeah,
realized that everybody she loved was going to die. And it's
yeah,
like so much focus is put on death, and it's made to be either so final or, you know,
final and
permanent,
scary.
permanent torment.
Yeah,
And we had to watch these movies. There was one called A Distant Thunder where it's like the government has these vans going around searching for people, and they got to get the mark of the beast on their forehead or their hand, and they're like running and hiding. And then if they don't, they get their noggins chopped off. And it's like, oh my gosh, dude. It's like, and then you think you're doing a good thing by showing your kids, now watch this. This is going to happen in the future. You know what I
oh
mean?
my God.
You don't want to get left behind and have to make this choice to get your head chopped off or to get this mark that's going to make you go burn in hell for eternity. So, I mean, take this seriously. You know what I mean? And oh my
Uh,
gosh. And I'm not clowning because I was in that crowd. I felt bad that I ever thought that was the right thing to do. But thank God my kids are resilient. Or, that
well,
I was
kids
able to
are
climb out of it.
resilient. Kids are resilient and adaptable. Thank goodness, because like they can go through. We did. We
Yeah.
survived.
Yeah, and my oldest
Yeah.
kids are like, I can't believe you showed us the Passion of the Christ. It's like, it was important at the time. I'm sorry. It's important to see what Jesus went through for your sins. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've come a long way, and I certainly, I'm not knocking anybody that might still be at that point. But if you're in this chat and you're listening to this, it's something to consider that maybe there is something more going on. Yeah, I just dropped my vape pen.
Oh, well,
But
go
that's
get it.
ads. So let's
Yeah.
we've been having just a good old time. We're going on like an hour and 20 minutes here. Time
Oh
flies
my.
when you're having fun.
Yeah. No kidding. Doesn't feel that long.
No, sure doesn't. But
No.
let's see. What do we have here? Let me double check. Yeah. Jessica knows about the fire and brimstone too.
Yeah, I know.
But it was a huge stepping stone for me. So I'm in a big way. I'm so glad I went through it because it's like I'm glad I learned what I need to learn from that
Mm,
and move forward. Because if I hadn't explored it, I often think if I hadn't have been through there, I might get sucked into it now at this later time in life. Like, you know what I mean?
yes.
It's like I had
Yeah.
time to really
Mm,
investigate it for many years and to really read the Bible and and like I tell people all the time, I didn't find my way out of the church by looking at YouTube videos. I found my way out of the church by reading the Bible. It's like
yeah.
it was all in the Bible. And it wasn't, this was like really before the internet was a huge thing, before YouTube was a big thing and stuff. So all of this stuff that I share, it's like um, you can find your way out of the man-made structure, the man-made church by just reading the Bible. It's all in there, you know. It's just
Yeah.
looking
It's
at it
funny how,
objectively.
yeah. See, I was in contact early with the church, and because, I was baptized and everything.
Yeah.
And when I was little, as long as my grandparents were alive, we would go to church, like mostly for bigger events, but like
Hmm.
we would go. And in school there was classes, like you learn about the Bible, you learn about the church, Jesus, and everything. And but it was also you had to confess your sins every Friday. We had to go to confession.
Hmm.
You're 7 years old. What are you gonna confess? You know?
I took a cookie. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. 7, 8 years old. Every Friday we had to come up with a sin. So we had to lie.
I lied at last confession about what I did. I
We had to
hadn't done
find.
anything, but I lied and said I did. So sorry.
I had to lie because I didn't sin all week, like it's just and I never got sucked in the church. I did serve mass for a few years, but I didn't get sucked in it, and I'm glad I didn't because I see my sister and oh, like I hope she gets out of there because she's really not happy.
You know what? And it's not like it's not the people that's in church that
No,
there's tons of great people and great loving people in church. So it's not like I'm
I
not putting them
agree.
down.
No.
But it's even like I've got a brother who like tried the church thing a few times and he believes the church thing, but he just thinks he's a sinner and not doing what he's supposed to do with the church. So there's a lot of people that, think that they should be doing that and that they're just rebelling and not doing that, but they still believe that. You know what I'm saying? There's a ton of people
Yeah.
like that. That's like, I need to get back in church, and they still really hold to those same beliefs as the people in the church. They just feel like they're backslidden and not doing those things. And it's like
Yeah.
they don't realize that they could have went straight through and come out the other side, because a lot of them are great people. They're just stuck in that
Yeah.
whole, indoctrination thing. So
I know. You don't have to be in church to be a loving, caring person, like I love everybody unconditionally and I'm working on loving the mean people and like you just the way you are is more important than the reunion you go to on Sunday. And like a lot of people fall asleep in church. It's boring. It's like it's not like it's what you do the rest of the week that's important, not that day you went to church.
yeah, totally.
Like it's everything you do.
And that's sort of one of the big lies of the church is that, you can't be good enough. You can't, earn your way into heaven. And, which I mean, I get what they're saying, but at the same time, it's sort of takes your responsibility off of yourself and your own actions and places them on Jesus. And like, well, you know, we can't be good, you know, because that was one of the big things they had with Kirk Cameron and the whole Left Behind thing. That was, you know, you would tell people, you know, ask people, are you good? And they would say, yeah, I'm a pretty good person. Like, well, have you ever lied? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? And of course, we've all done bad things. So then
Of
they get you
course.
to realize that they try to get you to realize that you're a horrible person and that you've got to sort of ride on Jesus's coattail to get to heaven rather than actually following Jesus and living that sort of loving life where you just have this unconditional love towards other people and you really learn to master yourself, you know what I mean? And like bring in that Christ consciousness and really live in a just a much better way, which serves the
Mhm.
whole community and the whole race rather than trusting someone else is doing it for you. So there's a big danger in it, and you don't see it until you get out of it, and then you start feeling more responsible for your own actions. You
That's
start
right.
realizing you're like, you know what, I've never acted better in my life since I left the church, you know what I mean? Because now I have the sense of responsibility, the sense of
Exactly.
trying to be more like Jesus rather than just trusting that, you know, I can't do it, so I'm going to just trust he's going to do it for me, you know what I mean? So it's yeah, somebody's saying it's fear porn. It really is. It's like it really is. It's
So
causing us
much,
to,
so much fear.
yeah,
That's what I don't agree with in the church. The church institution, you know,
yeah, my
like
way
the
or the highway,
fear. Yeah,
my way or the
you
hell
know,
way.
like it's yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
And you know, there are things in the Bible that I remember having to look for verses for my wedding in church, you know. You're gonna obey your husband. It's like who says? You know, I'm not a dog. Well, why should I obey my husband? You know?
keep your head covered in church when you're with them and stuff.
Yeah, and you know, like it's like, who says, you know? Like I'm sure God doesn't mind if your head is not covered if you pray to him. Like or you know, like I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just it was
but like
I
Bob was just saying, it's like he was saying the same thing about you know, he traveled that same road, you know, where you just read the Bible and it's not hard when you read it over and over again to start seeing a distinction between what Jesus taught. And, you know,
mhm
when you get to Paul's letters and he's talking about, you know, something completely different. And then you go to church and you hear that they pretty much preach what Paul was preaching in his letters rather than what Jesus was.
mhm
And I mean, and it's so clear because you know, there's instances where Jesus is straight up asked, what must I do to inherit the kingdom of God or whatever? And, you know, Jesus straight up tells him, you know, sell all your stuff and give to the poor and follow me or do this or do that. He never says, you know, I'm going to go and hang on the cross and you just say this prayer and throw
yeah.
your sins on me and I'm going to take them on for you. And I mean, if that was the main way to get to heaven, wouldn't Jesus have said it once?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he never does. And it's like right there in the Bible. So it became clear to me after reading the Bible over and over again and reading through the Gospels over and over again. And then getting into some of the Gospels that weren't included in the Bible. Um, and they don't mention certain things that's in the Gospels that's in the Bible. And you start realizing that it's really, there was an agenda they were pushing. You know what I mean? And they just basically used Jesus and his message and added a bunch of stuff to it and piggyback their agenda on top of what Jesus really came to do. You know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
actually came to get us away from what they piggybacked on him. And you know, the light goes on at some point. You know, you're like, oh my
And
gosh.
I think they also withheld so many informations from us,
Yeah,
you know? Like because I think we have a lot more power than we are led to believe
most
and
definitely.
that this was hidden from us
Yeah, because they don't
and
want, you know,
they
a
don't want
million
us.
Jesuses
Yeah.
running around. That's the last thing.
Yeah.
He was a rebel. You know what I mean? He shook it up, man. He think about it. They wanted to kill him and crucify him way before they actually got to him, and his time
Yeah.
had not yet come. So, you know, It's just, it's right there. It's easy to see. And, the hypocrites, the Pharisees and the Sadducees of Jesus' days are really no different. And I know a lot of great preachers and stuff. So I'm not even saying that. I just think there's a lot of deceived people. They really
Yeah.
believe in what they're teaching. I don't think all of them are purposely deceiving people, as
Hmm.
shepherds of their flocks or pastors of their church. I think, they just, they went to seminary and they learned what they wanted them to teach and not really,
Hmm.
got into what Jesus was actually teaching. So, so I guess I said my piece. We are at an hour and a half, Jose. So I guess we
Well,
wrap it up. I'm really enjoying the conversation.
I'm having fun too.
Anything in the chat I'm missing?
Well, my phone died, so you have to
Oh,
check.
I thought you were laughing at some of the.
No, it's just you and me now.
Oh,
My phone died, so I can't see the chat anymore. Sorry, guys, but I know you're there
yeah.
because of yeah.
I was saying yes to Jane L's comment. They just wanted us to be slaves and afraid all the time. And I totally agree with that. They turned the message of Jesus into this control mechanism to control the masses. Think about it. Politics and religion are just to keep the people under control. When
Yeah.
you start to really look at it, take a step back and not really look at the specific details of either one, they're all to keep us busy and keep us under control. To think we have power with the false dichotomy of the political system. You can be Democrat or Republican. Just pick one. We got one that suits you. We got one that suits you. And you have all the say you want. We'll let your team get a president for a few times, and then we'll switch and let your president. They're all really the same
Yeah, pick your
overall team,
color, red or blue.
right? Yeah, they make it nice. Are you from a blue state? Oh, you're a blue state guy. Maybe you want to move to a red state. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like totally, it's totally made simple. It's color coded, if you will. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
religions are the same way. Well, if you don't like this one, if it's a little too bloody, we got this one for you. If you don't like these flavors, and we got and then like Christianity was real popular. So then there's over 38,000 denominations of Christianity. So I
Oh, there's
mean,
so many.
yeah, you're talking about Baskin Robbins on steroids here. There's like any kind of Christian religion you want. You like, because everybody realized Jesus was awesome. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
here's this version of our religion, and it's still built around Jesus, because Jesus is like a lot of people's hero. He's still my hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah, like
Christ.
I totally like Jesus now. I didn't think he was real for a long time, but
Yeah,
now I do. I know he was here.
yeah.
And yeah.
Let's see. Willie had a question. Can you ask Jose where she buries all her funds that don't make it through the day?
Where I bury all my what?
Your phones, because they die on you.
Oh, my phone.
Or do you like use a cord and
I
resurrect them?
resuscitate. Yeah, I resurrect them. Resuscitate. I was gonna say it in
Resuscitate.
French.
Yeah.
Resuscitate. Yeah. I just plug them in.
Awesome. Yeah, the lifeline. Here's the lifeline. You're revived.
It works
Yeah.
until they cut my power off. Then it won't work anymore. Oh yeah, they're gonna cut my water off tomorrow for
Again?
non-payment. Yeah. Again.
Uh, we sure need a different thing going on here with.
Yeah, there's water hoarders here, and I don't know who decided we had to pay for water. And next in line is Hydro. They're gonna come and cut us off. So if you don't see me for
Is
a while,
hydro
don't
not
worry.
water? Hydro's electric?
Yeah, yeah, both. So if you don't see me for a while, don't worry, I'll be back.
Yeah, talk about being off the grid. I can't wait to either them do away with the grid or.
Oh, I'm so tired of, like it's once you see the construct and everything, like it's just like so ridiculous because there's plenty of everything for everyone.
Yeah.
Nobody should go hungry. Nobody should go. without a roof, like there's plenty for everybody. Who decided to hoard
Oh, I
and
can
to
think of a
just,
few people. There's a
yeah,
few that
me
are like
too.
rolling around on solid gold carriages and stuff like that. Did you see that one the
Yeah,
Queen rolls around on?
yeah,
Solid gold. It's like,
I
dude,
know.
sell that thing and go feed some people. You're horrible. Do
I
something good
know.
before you die. She's like 200 or something, isn't she? Jeez.
206, yeah.
It's like, at least try to redeem yourself. Gosh.
I
No, but
know.
seriously, it's like you see that, and then you see there's like, people starving. And, Jamie's saying solar power. There's all sorts of free energy devices we can employ. And the world could be so different. And I really feel like we're going into an era where all these things are about to change. And, and I just, to myself at least, I say, I don't consent to what they're doing to all these poor people because I'm surviving barely most of the time. But, there's people that's way worse off
Oh,
than I am,
worse.
you know?
Yeah. Like I'm here, like even if they cut the water tomorrow, I have a roof over my head and I have food to eat. Like eh, eh, I have clothes to wear. It's like I'm not worried. I know it'll fix itself. Like I'm really trusting that everything will work out. And but it's just like when you think about it, I feel so sorry. And I think about everybody in Hawaii right now, like losing their homes and stuff, like I'm fine, like I'm really compared to some of what the people are going through
Hmm.
elsewhere,
Well, that
like
was one of the things I realized as I started, because for a while I had this nice machine operating job and I made more money and we moved into a better house. And it was like we always stayed right on the verge of just being able to just make it because as soon as I made more money, we'd get a more expensive car or a more expensive place to live. And then it didn't take me long to realize, like, let's just get in a decent neighborhood where we don't have to worry about, people breaking in or something, get a car that's not bad on gas instead of something brand new where we have to pay a car payment and you can just pay for liability insurance. And
mhm,
so I just realized that it was so much better to be content with what you have, when you have
yeah,
enough than to try to keep up with the Joneses because you're never gonna, you know it's like
never.
you'll work yourself to death and then you don't have time for your family, and before you know it your kids are all grown up and stuff. So dude, it was like, let's just get things good enough and enjoy each other because before you know it, life passes you by.
Amen.
And I'm glad I learned that with my oldest kids because I missed a lot of their childhood because I was working two jobs and doing this and that.
Hmm.
And then we had, because I got five kids now, two of them are grown up. So it was like, I'm glad I learned my lesson. So me and my son have a blast, you know what I mean? It's like
I know, he's so sweet too.
play games together and stuff. And it's like, you know, you just can't really make up for that being gone and working and stuff. So
I know.
time before you know it.
They grow so fast. My baby is 25 now.
Yeah.
Mm,
And it's like my daughter's doing the same thing. She's so busy working, she doesn't come over as much. And like I'm like my grandson, he's like, I can notice differences in him between your visits. You need to start coming over a little more often,
I know, it's hard when you can't, yeah. I love those kids.
Yeah, they're so adorable though.
I know. Well, Shane,
Are you ending it on us? Okay, Josie's ending
no,
it.
it's not that. If we're not ending, I'll have to abandon you for a couple minutes.
No problem. No, we can cut her short here. We got we're going on an hour and 40 minutes. So yeah, I was just pulling your leg. Lots of
I
love and
know.
light to all of you guys in the chat. Thank you so much again, Jose. And don't forget to check out the information below about this Sunday show and in Jose's channel. It's also linked below. You can join her with her. I'm sorry, you're like, hurry up, I gotta get to the bathroom or something. Cigarette. So lots of love and light to all of you guys.
Stop making me laugh.
Making drip sounds. I always do that to my son. He's like, stop. I'm like, that really. Okay, so I'm sorry. I love you guys. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Thank you, Jose. Bye-bye.
Love you all. Bye.